What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a reaction video tonight. Usually, I'm posting 2K content. I don't react to a lot of stuff. But in yesterday's video, I roasted the crap out of the New York Knicks for hiring Tom Thibodeau, and that's just based on what I saw from him in Minnesota and all sorts of other things. But yeah, so I did that, and a lot of you came at me in the comments section, and I was very harsh on Thibodeau. Even like probably more harsh than how bad I really think he is. And today, Six Rings of Steel released his Knicks fan reaction to Tom Thibodeau being hired. So I wanted to listen to it. I haven't watched it yet. I wanted to see what he said as a Knicks fan, listen to it, and I'll give my honest reaction to what he's saying about it, and I'll kind of, give my opinion on the subject as well. But I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Let me know in the comment section below whether you think it's a good hire or not. Also, in my community tab, there's a poll, so if you want to answer that, go ahead and do that. But let's go ahead and listen to this.
So the Knicks signed their new head coach for the foreseeable future when they inked Tom Thibodeau to a 5-year deal on Saturday, July 25th. Now, I was away at school kind of moving apartments and bringing everything home, so I didn't really have a chance to make a video until now. So I know I'm a little bit late, but I'm going to try to give you a Knicks fan.
All right, let's see what he says.
So right off the bat, it's a 5-year deal, which
that's a long time.
Coaches, they tend to do these long years.
It's a long time.
Contracts. Had it with Darren Fisher, they've had it with Jeff Hornacek, they've had it with David Fizdale, and they just don't pan out. So let's hope this is the most veteran coach they have brought in.
How long do you think he's going to be there? For those of you who don't think it's going to work out, how many years do you think he's there? I bet it's 3 or less. I would say he doesn't finish his 3rd year in New York.
In a while. Since probably Mike D'Antoni at that time back in the mid-2010s, early to mid-2010. So, yeah, Tom Thibodeau, he has more experience than Hornacek.
He does.
I would say...
Don't get me wrong. I don't think like Thibodeau's going to be worse than Fizdale. I said something about Jason Kidd. I think that if Thibodeau truly does change his philosophy some, then yeah, I think he's going to be better than Jason Kidd. But I think he has to change a lot.
Success, I can say Darren Fisher, brand new. Fizdale had very little experience, but he had experience in Memphis. So, and then they had like Curry. So don't even want to talk about that. Tom Thibodeau, I like Tom Thibodeau. Now,
okay.
I wanted Kenny Atkinson because
me too. That's who I really wanted for the Knicks. Kenny Atkinson would be way better. Exactly. They're developing a lot more. And just, I'm going to keep pausing because I don't want to be talking over Matt here. But basically, like, Kenny Atkinson is known as a developmental coach, and that's what he did with the Knicks. And I think that's why, like, he's not there anymore, is because they don't need development now. They have 2 star players, and it's time to get in a coach that's really going to, like, push those star players. But for the Knicks, when you have RJ, you have Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, all this young talent, the best thing to do there is develop that young talent, and Kenny Atkinson could do that. Tom Thibodeau has a track record for not playing his young players. We saw it in Minnesota with Chris Dunn. He played Cat, but that's because Cat was a star player, and he like ran Cat 40 minutes a night, which is a lot. And Tom Thibodeau has led to a lot of injuries, and I'm not saying, like, I don't hope injury on anyone. I want everybody to be healthy. I don't hate anyone to the point where I would wish that they get hurt. Like, that is absolutely not what I want to happen. What I was saying is I'm scared that something like that's going to happen to RJ Barrett or to Mitchell Robinson, and they're not going to reach their full potential. So basically, I'm hopeful that he lays off a little bit and doesn't push them too hard, because I can see 2 things happen. I could see where he just doesn't play Kevin Knox. He doesn't play RJ Barrett because they're young. But I could also see where he plays them too much and they end up getting hurt, and I don't want that to happen for Knicks. The Knicks have dealt with a lot in the last 25 years. Same with the Timberwolves. Like, not very good franchises, and they just need to figure their stuff out. And yeah, so I'm hopeful that Tom Thibodeau changed the way he coaches, but I'm just not so sure.
Good for D'Angelo Russell, and especially Joe Harris. Those 5 guys, he really brought them up and made them actual, like, good NBA players.
For sure.
Maybe a little bit better, but still, he helped those guys develop, and I thought that's where the Knicks are kind of at with RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson and their new first-time.
Right, and that's why I think Atkinson would be better, I think.
I'm not opposed to Tom Thibodeau, and I'll tell you why. So Thibodeau,
I'm interested to see what he says.
Kind of being more of a defensive-minded,
and he is. I would say he's known for defense. In Minnesota, he wasn't. the defensive players in Minnesota weren't good. Andrew Wiggins was really bad. Karl-Anthony Towns, when Thibodeau was here, was below average defensively. I think Cat has a path to being a good defender, but he's not there yet. So I get that. But I thought the defense would be a little bit better, but in Minnesota it seemed like the scheme was a bit outdated, and I think it needed some adjustment. So that's why I don't think it worked in Minnesota. I don't think it was just because there wasn't good defenders. I think it was a combination of bad defenders and a bad scheme. And Thibodeau needs to, I think, come up and realize that the NBA is changing and his coaching style has to change if he wants to make it.
Chicago, obviously, he had Taj Gibson, Joakim Noah, and Jimmy Butler there.
Yeah, and that was just a solid defensive team. So
I think there's some Knicks on this team that could really use a defensive-minded head coach.
And that's true. Mitchell Robinson as well could.
Is already really good on the defensive end, and he has the
Yep.
to be.
He just has to stop fouling.
So I'm hoping
That's Mitchell Robinson's biggest downfall.
Kevin Knox, their top 10 pick from 2018. He's still very young. He's
Mhm.
21 years old.
I'm not out on Kevin Knox either. I think he has a lot of time to develop, but
one of the worst defensive players in the league on the perimeter and just in general at the small forward position. So let's hope that Thibodeau can maybe save him and just try to salvage somewhat of his career, where he had a lot of potential coming out of college, but it just hasn't panned out whatsoever. And I think Frank Ntilikina, another young player,
Frank's a good defender too.
improved defensively, but he's probably their best defender.
Yeah, he's a good defender.
He just like goes from being really good to like being.
We could see Ntilikina become like a Chris Dunn in Chicago. Chris Dunn was in Minnesota, and he was known he was going to be a good defender, but Tibbs just refused to play him, and it kind of stunted his growth, and now he's in Chicago. And even though they don't have a great developmental coach, he has the playing time to develop into a good defender. Chris Dunn has been amazing defensively. Hopefully that can happen with Ntilikina, but he needs to get the chance, and he doesn't need to get overworked, and that's a big thing.
Maybe a week of like not Marcus Smart level good, but like near there.
Yep.
That's like something you would like for him to progress towards the future, because you don't want to just say this is where he's going to be at for the rest of his career defensively. You'd like for him to improve. Maybe that's maybe too far of aspirations. Maybe it's more like that.
No, I think it could happen.
So I think those guys could definitely improve defensively. Obviously, Mitch and Frank are better, but then
Yeah.
really RJ and Knox would be.
RJ has the tools. I think he could be a good defender.
The Knicks were to get lucky in this draft and get the number 1 pick or number 2, and they have a chance to take LaMelo Ball. Like, I'm kind of concerned how they could coexist, obviously, with LeVar.
I think so too.
LaMelo's going to want to shoot the ball and be like kind of. He wants to be around him.
Yeah, LaMelo's definitely a guy that likes the attention on him.
And maybe he's going to come in right away and start talking about, oh, you're going to do this defensively, you got to rotate this way. And he's like, I just want to take my shot. And
Yeah.
Like, I hope it'll be fine, and I think it could be like a nice pairing. Maybe like LaMelo needed this defensive-minded head coach to just really make him a serviceable defensive player. Because that's
Yeah, I could see it.
biggest knock is
But
very good on defense.
LaMelo would have the tools to be a good defender. He's long. He's pretty athletic, and he could be a solid defender. I just don't think LaMelo takes too kindly to someone like Thibodeau and his like style of coaching, unless he has changed. But Thibodeau's a very hard-nosed coach, and we've seen people. We saw Andrew Wiggins not take kindly to that. We saw Cat not take too kind. I don't think Cat had too much of a problem with Thibodeau. It was more with Jimmy Butler. But yeah, Thibodeau's a hard-nosed kind of coach, and I don't know if LaMelo Ball would... and that's if the Knicks get LaMelo. We don't know who the Knicks are going to get. We don't know where the draft pick's going to fall. We don't know if LaMelo's going to get taken there. We have no idea. But it's presumed that, like, LaMelo and the Knicks has... like, everybody thinks that's what's going to happen. And if the cards fall right for the Knicks, I'm sure that's what will happen. But we're just going to have to figure out and see, I guess.
So maybe Tom Thibodeau could be just a mentor for him on the defensive side, and then maybe pair him with RJ. And that's like we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards, he definitely has defensive potential.
Mhm.
He definitely has room to improve 100%.
Right.
So I think Thibodeau would be very good for that, or Cole Anthony, or Kareem Hayes. So the Knicks are probably going to draft a point guard unless they fall and they like Obi Toppin and they like his fit next to Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tibbs isn't going to like Obi Toppin, because Obi Toppin does not play defense.
Edwards, Anthony, or I guess I already said RJ Hampton. I guess there'd be those 5. I thought they would end up with Kyrie Lewis in this draft.
Yeah.
Those 5 guards are probably going to be one of those players is going to be a Nick in next year's season. I just hope.
Yeah, I agree with Matt on that point.
Like, winning is obviously going to be the main thing here, but I think I'd rather prefer what Thibodeau preached, and it was player development. We
Yeah.
need to be good right away.
The Knicks aren't going to be good right away. Like, that's not the Knicks, they don't have the players that are good enough to be good right away. They need to develop still. So I think it's important that people understand that point as well. Like, the Knicks just are not going to be that good of team. They need to develop, and they'll be good down the line, but they need to develop now. Thibodeau in Minnesota, he was also like our president of basketball operations, basically a GM running the franchise, and that wasn't good. He doesn't have that power in New York, so he's not making the personnel decisions, which could be good. But you could see, if Thibodeau was the GM, I could see him trading RJ Barrett away for someone. You know how the Timberwolves traded away Zach LaVine for Jimmy Butler. You know, I could see Tibbs doing that because he wants to get in established players right now. Would you want to see RJ Barrett get traded away for DeMar DeRozan? No. But luckily, Tibbs doesn't have that power in New York, so it is what it is now.
We could be good. The Knicks make their first playoff appearance in 2022 or 2023.
And I think that's realistic. 2023 is pretty realistic.
From their top players, from RJ, from Mitch, from their top 10 pick this year, and even some from Kevin Knox and Frank Neal.
I agree with Matt on this one.
That is the case. I don't know what they're doing with that.
You're not making the playoffs in 2021 unless, you know, major trades happen or, you know, like all of a sudden the draft pick is super good.
Same with Mike Miller. It's like you want to play your young guys, but you also want to play for your job. Obviously, the Knicks keep losing. Critics are coming in. Dolan tends to have a short leash.
But I think for Thibodeau to keep his job, he has to play the young players and he has to develop them. In Minnesota, it was different because you had like young players in Wiggins and Cap, but they were also star players. Here, RJ and Mitch aren't stars yet. They have to develop. So Tibbs has to play them to keep his job more than he has to win to keep his job. He has to see growth from those players.
Or the GMs, and they'll fire you. So as much as you want to play Kevin Knox over Marcus Morris because he's your young guy, your top 10 pick from a year ago, and Marcus Morris is kind of this vet that we know what he is. He's not going to help you win games, and it's conflicting for some coaches because they obviously want to win so they can keep their job, but they also want to play the young guys to help them develop. So it's hard to get kind of a mix of that, and let's hope that Leon Rose, who just hired as his first big move kind of as the Knicks president, he hires Tom Thibodeau, and let's hope that they're on the same page. Like,
that's a big thing too, is keeping the front office and the coach on the same page. And I think they can.
As long as we're seeing RJ and Mitch get better and our first round pick this year, that's all we want to see is that development.
I agree, 100%.
And just kind of like a winning mindset. Like if the Knicks can go 30 and 52 next year, bad, right? Horrible season.
I think it'd be realistic for them.
But at least they're kind of improving. Like they were on pace, I think, for mid-20 wins this year, which was up from 17 last year. So it was improvement. It wasn't mainly up to young guys because they decided to sign Wayne Ellington and Reggie Bullock.
And I'm also scared that Thibodeau's going to play like Taj Gibson a lot of minutes. A lot of those more established veteran guys who are decent, but like they're only getting worse in their career, where like you want the people that are going to trend upward to play. And I'm just scared that Tibbs is going to do that. And I have nothing against the Knicks. There's no rivalry with me and the Knicks, nothing like that. I just hope that they figure something out because I don't know if Tom Thibodeau is really the answer. I hope he changed his way. Like I keep saying, if he changed his coaching style, I think he might be fine. But he says he's changed it too, but we have to see that happen. And we can't really see it until it starts.
Hopefully they don't bring back a lot of those guys and they let kind of young guys play next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully he lets Julius Randle do his thing, but he lets more of the young trio.
I agree.
RJ, the first round pick, do their things a little bit more because that's what we want to see. But yeah, like I said, that is what I'm hoping. I just hope he doesn't have that pressure where they start out 2-12 next year and it's like, oh, here we go again, another Knicks bad coach. He's gonna get fired or something.
Right.
Like that. Like obviously, Fizdale's first year was more tank for Zion. It was basically that. It didn't go their way.
Yep.
And then this year they signed all these vets, and everyone thought they could. Some people thought they'll be an 8 seed.
I didn't think that.
Over the 8 seed, but would have been more towards like I think where the Wizards were this year. Like
yeah.
End up like
I thought they'd be like 12th or 11th, to be honest.
I thought they could have ended up, which is a 16-win improvement from the previous year. So maybe that was a little
yeah.
too much. But yeah, it didn't work out. Obviously, in the first month, whatever, and then Fizdale got canned right away. So he was supposed to be kind of the savior of the Knicks and be their guy who they took over Mike Budenholzer and Dwayne Casey.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Thibodeau, who hasn't been a coach for a couple of years, is their man, and I hope they.
And maybe Thibodeau did that. Okay, this is very unflattering for Matt, so I'm gonna pause it a little bit. But basically, I think that Thibodeau will be solid enough. He had a couple years off to where he could have changed. Let's hope. He says he has. Like I keep saying, hopefully he did.
If the first 3 years of his coaching tenure aren't, or his first 2 years, the Knicks don't make the playoffs, please don't fire him. Please don't.
Okay, and I get that. Continuity is a big thing.
What the Sixers did with Brett Brown, it takes some time.
Yeah, it's a very big thing. Continuity is good for young players. If you had, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have had coaches come in and out the door for Karl-Anthony Towns, and he has dealt with so many different roster moves, coaching changes. Like, continuity is such a big thing for young players in the NBA. You got to give them stability in the locker room and on the floor for them to win and play to their full potential. The Knicks need that. The Timberwolves need that too. We have not had that for more than 2 years in a long time. Hopefully that happens for the Knicks. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for Thibodeau. Don't hate the guy. Just don't like how things happen in Minnesota.
And he's been their coach throughout the last 2 seasons where he's led them to the playoffs. And obviously you can have what you want about Brett Brown. I'm just saying, just don't fire him.
Right.
That's all I ask for as a Knicks fan. Just have some longevity with your coaches and consistency. Let him at least coach the first 3 out of his 5 years on his contract. Not the first year and 1 month or year and 2 months like Thibodeau ended up with. But yeah, that is going to be my thoughts and reactions on the Tom Thibodeau hiring. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comment section below. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy the video. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. Double upload today. Yes, sir. So yeah, I love you guys. I'll see you guys next video.
All right. So that is what Matt had to say. 6 Rings of Steel. I agree with a lot of what he said. I think unless Thibodeau does something really bad, like just doesn't play RJ Barrett or benches Mitchell Robinson for DeAndre Jordan or something, if they bring in someone like that in a trade or something, unless he does something like that where he is stunting the growth, go ahead, let him coach this 3 years, see how he does. A lot of times I think we just give up too fast, and this team's not going to be good next year, let's face it. They just don't have the star power unless they bring in a free agent or they really hit on a draft pick that's just really good, like a Ja Morant or a Zion. The team's not going to be that good. So let Tom Thibodeau ride it out. Hopefully he can change his ways, become better, and hopefully the Knicks have some stability. And I think he'll be better than Fizdale, like I said. Some of those other coaches they've had in the past, Mike Miller, whoever it may be. But yeah, I think it's important that they let him try and really let him try and instill a system if it's good. So I just hope he's changed his ways where he's not overrunning his starters and he's willing to play his young guys and develop them. But I think it'd be good. They have defensive talent that I think a defensive-minded coach would be good for, like we said with Mitchell Robinson, Frank Ntilikina, even RJ Barrett has some defensive potential. So if you have a defensive coach that runs a good quality system for these players, I think it would be good. So that's my thoughts on Tom Thibodeau. That's my reaction to Six Rings New York Knicks fan reacts to the Tom Thibodeau hire video. Hope you guys did enjoy. His video link will be in the description. Make sure to check out the original video. Subscribe to his channel if you have not already. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been TKE. It's been real. Peace out.